but that could mean anything. Maybe he only came for closure. Regardless, I wanted him there for this show to see me. Every psychic has an origin story, I begin, but I've never told my real one until now. When I moved to San Francisco at 18, I met a kid named Danny at a youth hostel. He had brown curls, sparkling eyes, and a 1,000-watt smile. We decided to share a basement apartment. For the first few months, I didn't have enough money for my part of the rent. Danny floated me. He was a kid who'd never been given a break, but was still incredibly generous and kind. His dream was to make enough to move to LA, become a famous actor, and I was trying to find myself, uncertain if I could even survive in the city. Danny decided to read tarot to make some extra cash, and he's the one who convinced me to do my first psychic reading. It was for Bethany, the pregnant woman I've talked about in the past whose baby was in danger. When I touched her belly, wrote "I can't breathe" on my arm, Bethany left furious, but Danny encouraged me to do more readings. He said everyone knew it was just for entertainment, and if I made enough money, we could move to LA together. We made a deal. The first one who got an acting break would help the other. I didn't have a dream then, so I borrowed his. The audience has gone very quiet, and I wonder if this will be my last performance, but push on. In the beginning, being a psychic medium was a scam, a way to support myself after my parents disowned me. But strange things happened. At first, I wrote them off, figured they were the result of my enthusiasm, the desire to meet the paying customers' needs. Deep down, though, I nurtured the hope that I was more than a fraud. I really wasn't sure, but the people who lined up in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury believed I had a gift, and slowly I started to believe them too. The crowd rustles. That's an important point. I believed in myself because people told me I was a psychic medium, not because I trusted in my abilities. Then one day, Bethany and her husband, Matthew, came to thank me for saving their daughter's life. Matthew connected me with a talent agent in LA, Lucas Potter, who flew Danny and me down to meet him. My voice shakes, but I continue. Lucas signed me that day, but the reason I'd never mentioned Danny in my origin story is because Lucas only wanted me, not my best friend. So I left Danny behind. I swallowed the lump in my throat. The excuse that I was a scared kid with no prospects or family who saw a chance to do more than just survive doesn't make up for screwing Danny over. That's a shame. I've carried with me all these years. My agent recently found Danny. At first, he wouldn't take my call. I kept trying. We finally talked. Danny is the director of a small theater company in Seattle, has 2 kids, and a great husband. He was kind enough to accept my apology and even invited me to Washington to see one of his plays. I'm heading there in a few weeks. I take a deep breath and then slowly let it out. But back to my origin story. Once I'd signed with an agent, successes piled up and money too. An elusive thing called buzz happened. Plus, all of you started to really trust me. My smile feels bittersweet. You're more powerful than you know. I walk along the stage, look into the audience. Have any of you heard the story about a frog placed in a pot of water? The heat turned up slowly that he doesn't realize until too late that he's been cooked alive. A few people know it. It's a relief that I haven't lost everyone yet. In 6 years, I went from being an 18-year-old psychic sitting at a folding table in San Francisco, connecting one-on-one, to having a show with employees, laser lights, smoke machines, choreographed music, and hundreds, then up to 1,000 audience members. It happened slowly enough that I didn't realize my gift was being swallowed, eclipsed by the need to fulfill larger and larger expectations. Mine, my agents, the people who help put these shows together, and yours too. Many times I'd stand sorry for that. You deserve better. I gesture to the stage, devoid of special effects and my simple clothes. Today the show stops. Nervously, I twist the ring on my finger. You've only ever asked one thing of me, to be honest and certain. But over the years, I haven't always been either of those things. I've come from a place of fear. A few weeks ago, I saw a doctor who diagnosed a bleeding ulcer. My stomach has been bad for over a year, but I never went to a physician because I couldn't imagine a way to fix something I knew came from the stress of all of this. I'm a psychic medium. Every time I stand on stage, each reading, every question you ask that I try desperately to answer results in stress. Your tragedies sometimes hurt me, and I'm terrified of disappointing you. And I'm driven to survive, above all else, to survive. I weave my hands together to still their trembling. Last month, I met a journalist who called me a grief vampire. He said I used tricks to prey on the vulnerable for money and fame. Some in the audience hiss and boo. I shake my head to quiet them. I've done a lot of self-reflection over the past few days. In a way, he was right. I do take your money, and there's some truth to the fame accusation. Who doesn't want to be admired? But it's more complicated than that. I also used your stories, questions, and tragedies focused on you to distract from the things I didn't want to face. Like what? A woman calls out from a few rows back. Many of you have read that I was adopted and never knew my biological parents. Up until a month ago, I couldn't recall the first 6 years of my life. That might not be strange for you, but I have an eidetic memory, meaning I can recall almost everything. That same journalist gave me the courage to find out the truth about my past. Together, we learned that my birth mother was a clairvoyant. Her name was Olivia Ravenel, and she was murdered when she was only 34. I was 4 and a half and saw it happen. People gasped. That trauma blocked all memory of the murder and life with my mother. Moose leans his bulk against my leg in a show of support.
Drive and
My foster care records were destroyed, medical records sealed by people who thought what they were doing would help me. No one wanted to adopt a kid tied to a murder, especially one as grisly and as sensational as my mother's. My name was changed to give me a fresh start. A story was made up about birth parents that died in a plane crash, and it all worked. But in doing so, those folks stripped me of my past, my mother's story, and left me with an obsession to survive with no context. I looked into the audience. For my entire life, I've thought about looking for my birth mom on the other side, but each time I approached the door, I was overwhelmed by panic. Now I know why I called. When I finally learned the truth about my past, I called to Mama. We connected, she's at peace, and she wants that for me too. I swipe tears away before they fall. Sorry for being a big baby. We love you, a woman yells. I manage a half smile. All my life I've been driven to survive about anything because of Mama's murder, I explain. I began as a psychic to make a few bucks on top of the tips I earned as a crappy waitress. I used my successes to define myself because pieces were missing. But that's not why I'm here today. I take a deep breath, glance into the wings where Lucas stands. He nods at me. Despite the fact that I've taken control of my career and no longer do any research, he's still in my corner. I believe in my gift now. I know who I am, both because of and despite my past, and my goal above fame and fortune is to help as many of you as possible. I hope you can believe in me too. I'm here for you regardless. I cross the stage, drawn back to Thomas. He places an antique snow globe with a brass base on the edge of the stage. My pulse quickens as I pick it up. Inside the glass is a woman surrounded by a field of wheat. When I shake the globe, bright wildflowers swirl. It's beautiful, like nothing I've ever seen. I tip the globe again and spot an address written on the bottom. When I meet Thomas' gaze and nod, his blue-green eyes shine. Hope takes flight. My hands no longer shake as I place the globe on the small wooden table set between two leather chairs center stage. I walk forward and address the audience again. Moose at my side. Final introductions and we can begin. This is Moose. Every time I stand up here, I'm nervous. Moose helps. Telling the truth is going to help even more. Some of these get-togethers may not be what you need, and for that, I'm sorry. All I can promise is to try my best. I smile and the audience does too. So here we go. Welcome. My name is Sylvie Ravenel Young. Let's begin.